Hey everyone! Today I'm going to explain and demonstrate how to count the number of times a button gets pressed using an Arduino UNO board. This is a basic Arduino experience, and as you see, we only need a few things to do it. You will need an Arduino UNO board, a momentary switch, two male-to-male jumper wires, and a breadboard. The sketch I have right here shows the connections we need for this circuit. We're going to be using two pins of the Arduino, digital pin 7 and one of its ground pins. With the jumper wires, we need to connect pin 7 to one of the switch contacts and ground pin to the other switch contact. Every time the button gets pressed, pin 7 will detect the change, as we will see in the code part. Here I have the actual connections I made on my board. Like we said, pin 7 to one side of the switch with the green wire in this case, and ground pin to the other side of the switch with the black wire. Notice how I place my switch in the middle of the breadboard, since we're only using two of its rails.
Okay, so here we have the actual circuit connected to the computer. And after you have uploaded your code to the board, you will have to open Serial Monitor, and you will see button count there. And every time that you press the momentary switch, you should see the current count in your screen. 2 times. Let's press it 2 times in a row. Count is 4. As you see, I have used pin 13, which is connected to that yellow LED there, as a way of knowing when the button is actually pressed. 7 times.
Okay, so here we have the actual code that runs in our Arduino boards. The first thing that we do is define button pin as our digital pin 7 that we saw previously. The next 3 variables, the first one, button press count, keeps track of the times the button gets pressed, and the next 2 variables keep track of the state in which the button is on. Button state is the current state, and previous state, pre-button state is the previous state in which the button was on. That's going to help us here in our loop function later. Our setup function consists of initializing the serial monitor with a baud rate of 9600. We declare pin 7, digital pin 7, as an input, and we enable the pool of resistors related to that pin internally in the Arduino board. Then what we do is we declare pin 13 as an output, and we turn off that yellow LED that we saw before, and then we print button count, this little string button count, to the serial monitor. Our loop function looks like this, and what we do first is we record, we read the digital pin, and we record the state of the button, the current state of the button. This could be 0 or 1 values. Remember, this is an integer value. And you can actually print that value to the serial monitor, and you will see that is 1 when it's not pressed and 0 when it's pressed. Then what we do is we check if the current state of the button is different than the previous state of the button. And I will explain why we have that there a little bit later. After that, we check if the current state of the button is high. This means that the button is not pressed, so we turn the yellow LED off, just as a feedback. But if the button state is low, that means that the button is pressed, so we're gonna turn the yellow LED on, and we're gonna increment our count by 1, and we're also gonna show it in on the serial monitor, as we saw. This delay here of 50 milliseconds might be a little bit helpful, because this is a code that executes really fast. So if we get into this condition here, I wanna add a little delay there. And then lastly, what we do is we save the current state of the button with the previous state button variable. This is gonna help us remember in which state we were before. If you comment these lines out, you can try that yourself. You will see that the count here gets incremented continuously whenever you press the button, and that's not what we want. So these variables, as I mentioned before, are going to help us keep track of the current state of the button and not count continuously when the button gets pressed. You can try that on your own as an experience too. And that's it. That's how you count the number of times a button has been pressed with an Arduino board. Thank you very much for watching, guys.